Time around, it looks like our little friend the devil's been playing with me this morning. He does not want me talking about helping the seniors keep warm in the nursing homes, care homes, and all that. So hopefully the first half is still sitting in the computer somewhere where I can like mush them together. I'm going to pick up where I left off. This is part two, number two. The design 30 squares. They end up being 4-inch squares, actually 5-inch squares. And you hook them together. 3 of these, 1, 2, 3, cavalry, warm lap quilt. And where I left off was putting the fusible interfacing on the back of your strips to give it more strength. You don't have to. I do, mainly because I don't know how many hands this is going to go through, how many generations are going to be holding on to this to remember the first person that got one. So your strips are that you're going to, if you're going to send them to participate, I have plenty. I can send that fabric to you. I can send the instructions and how to put it together to you. You can do it one block at a time. Just send in one block. That's awesome. You don't have to do anything but pray. That's awesome too. The prayers are pretty strong. Well, we need the prayers over this internet mess that keeps messing me up. So your strips are literally 2.5 inches, I believe, is how I measured them. 2.5-inch strips. Doesn't matter how long, just as long as they're 2.5 inches wide. 2.5 inches, light, medium, dark. Blues, greens, yellows, orange. If you got oranges, that'd be cool. I don't have any orange. I think that would be really neat. Orange and purple together, very cool. Orange and purple, really cool together. So with this, I've got my 2.5 strips that I've sewn together of medium, light, dark. Now the dark should have been darker, but this works. And then I'm going to measure down 6 inches. So if you do just one block, make it the 3 strips, the 2.5-inch strips connected by 6 inches long. Okay. Hopefully you got a piece of paper and pen. If this is the only way you can participate, perfect. Prayer's fine. You don't have to send a thing. And I certainly don't want your money. 2.5 strips, 6 inches down. So I'm going to go down 6 inches on here and make my first square. Now the thing is with this, and I just realized this is skinny. If you have, and I have one here somewhere, I do. I have a couple different low site guides, I call them. And this one is great. It's literally 7 inches, because it goes 1 through 6, and there's, 6.5 inches, 6.5 inches. This is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and use this width and just make one cut. So there's a square that comes, it's like a 5-inch square in this. You lay it on here, nice and even with the edges. And all you do is make a cut. Okay. So sometimes I think I need to change the blade in this one. There we go. So now, if you're going to send one block to make a lap quilt, right there, 6-inch square. Because when I take the 1/4-inch seams off and I get it down to the 5 inches, so what is literally going to be ending measurement on this, because it is 30 squares. There it is. So it would literally be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 inches, 3 of those. It's going to be 50 inches. Okay, that's 4 feet. So it's going to be 4 feet by 10, 15, 20, 30 inches. Now, if you think that that's too long, it's not a problem. Leave off half of the top row and just bind the top, and it'll look just fine. It's just, you don't want to mess up the cross in the center, because that's the part that's going to have embroidery on it. So I'm going to do one of the 4 planned design, where they are 5-inch squares, which ends up being what? 4.5-inch squares. Yeah. 5-inch squares, cut down 1/4 inch all the way around. That ends up being a 4-inch, 4.5-inch square. And there is a die cut for the Aki quilt that actually cuts a 4.5-inch square. But then if you do a seam after that, and it's 4 inches, and even 4 inches. Anything between 4 and 5 inches, okay, is going to work. Once I get this like iron down, narrow down, it'll be fine. So I'm going to do one more of these. I'm going to show you how to construct these on the machine. Of course, I don't need to because everybody can do a straight stitch on their sewing machine. It's not hard at all. So these are the 2.5-inch strips, 3 different shades, with a light being in the center, and then the other one, the third color combination, is with a light strip on the outside. So, and the next video I make on this, I'm going to show you how to construct it, how to lay it out by way of the design that I came up with. If you are interested in any way, shape, or form, if you just want to see the pattern in real life, comment for me. Please subscribe. If this is something that you want to keep up with, this is, in case the first video doesn't turn out, this is a follow-up. Remember in December when I gave away 3 vintage sewing machines with the blessing contest? This is part 2. Only this time, I don't want to hear stories that have already happened. You're creating one. You are going to be blessing a stranger again in a big, massive way. And we want it to go viral. We want everybody to, everybody was making the masks, right? Why not make something this simple for someone who doesn't get visitors all the time, who is alone a lot in the nursing home and what? They're human beings. And it's so cool just to be able to walk into a retirement home or nursing home and ask for a certain person. I have actually already contacted a senior living facility and asked them to send me some names so that I can personalize the first quilt for one of those folks. And I want to either, mailing is one thing, but when you can actually hand it to them, I said, this I handmade for you, because I know you probably get cold a lot. And then I can tell them about my mother-in-law before she passed away, how she was always cold. It's the humanity in it. It just makes it all wonderfully worthwhile. Now, when you finish cutting these 6-inch strips, if you have a piece left over, depending on how big it ends up being, hold on to it, because you can actually use that to go on the edge if you want to do it that way. I mean, if you're going to make it yourself, please make them unique as the dickens. But the one thing, if you're sending in a finished one, I call it a motif piece, if you're sending in a finished one of the 3 that makes the whole quilt, do not put binding on it, okay? Because when those 3 are put together, then the binding is going to go on to put it all together. That's the last step in constructing one of these. So I'm hoping to do the first one to show you how it should look when you're done, and we'll take it from there. Like I said, you don't have to sew a thing. If you want to participate in my NSF Lap Quilt Quest, it's not about the checkbook, okay? It's not about the checking count. It's no senior forgotten. No senior forgotten. We don't want our loved ones and people that we come in contact with to leave this earth and not feel like they had any love coming their way. This is something so simple, people. Something so simple, and it could get so big. And all that negative stuff that's going on in our world right now could go away just by all the love that's going to be spread with this. Love from the heart, from the soul. Let's do it. I'm doing it. What are you going to do? Well, now I wanted the centerpiece of this particular one that I'm making out of this blue to really stand out. So the cross part, because that's going to have a scripture verse, or it could have the person's name, or it could just say grandma, or a heart with the word grandma. I have an embroidery machine. I'm going to personalize these. If you have one, personalize the daylights out of them. Find out, and from your neighbors and family, who is it that really could benefit from that kind of love? Something to keep them warm. So now, yes, I'm a pin proponent, but when it comes to doing just strips like this, not necessarily. The other thing is, some of you new folks may not know how to tell the right side from the wrong side. Some of them is very obvious. This one, you got to print on one side and it's real pale on the other side. Right side, wrong side. Solid colors in these cottons, it's a little bit different. The way you tell the right side from the wrong side, if you've taken it off the bolt and you're like, oh gosh, do I have it right side out or wrong side out? What you do is you take the fabric and you fold it like front to back. So you have the back on top and this facing you. The side it is darker, the darker shade of blue is the right side. So when you are putting your strips together, I forgot what the right side is already. It's also smoother looking. It doesn't look as fuzzy on these cottons. This is the right side. So you want to put right sides together. Okay? And you stitch these two first because this is going to be dark, light, dark. This is for the cross part in the center. I'm going to scoot this back just a little bit so I can scoot in here to the sewing machine that I've got set up. Yeah, I made it tight today, but I got so excited about getting started, Let's get started. Now I'm using the twin needle on my heavy duty Montgomery Ward sewing machine. And in the first part of this video, if it still exists, I'll try to figure out a way to smush them together. If not, this is kind of like a really quick slosh together in the second one. This one should work. The Lord is blessing this one, I can tell. Anyway, you put your right sides together. I like the cotton because you can just guide it through your fingers. And I'm using on my sewing machine, besides the twin needles, I'm using, and it doesn't matter what thread's on the inside, by the way. You can use purple in its inside because they're not going to see it. It's just that if you pull stitches, the stitches get kind of like stressed, they might come through on the top, but not really. I'm using a wide open zigzag, aka satin stitch foot for these. And you just let it go. And go all the way down there. And just slide 2 fingers. That way you keep the 2 edges together. I just keep checking myself as I go. But if you put the fabric literally between your fingers like this, it will keep it lined up. And just let it glide through. Now it's starting to slide a little bit to the side, so just readjust it. I love how quiet this machine is. This is an old machine. This is like from the late 60s, I think 68. It's a really long strip. I'm sorry. Almost there. And I want to do a little backup stitch on this. Just 2 or 3 stitches. That way it locks it in. I mean, I know I'm going to end up stitching there, but it locks it in. Good. Got these little scissors to cut the threads. And then I'm going to go ahead. Now these those. You fold it out, right side, right side. So now I have to put the right side of the other dark color, which is the blue on this one, on the other side, and do the same thing. It doesn't matter top or bottom as long as it's right sides together. And your edges line up. Like I said, when you get to the bottom, that doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. So long as you have right sides together. And like I said, if you're sending in strips to be constructed either by myself or other ladies that are going to jump on board with me. Just do not finish the edges on them. Sew the strips together, just don't finish them. Now, if you're afraid of the fabric fraying in transit or something like that, you can serge the edges if you like, but it should be fine because as soon as you cut it, just put it in a Ziploc bag, throw it in an envelope, and like I said, if you're going to contribute in any way like that, either sending strips in or making one square of 3 little strips of 2.5 by 6 inches, leave a comment and I will be able to tell you how to get those to me and my friends that are going to be doing it. So after I do this, the one that I just cut, the other thing I love about this machine, it's very evenly regulated speed-wise from the foot pedal. So I don't have to worry about my foot getting too heavy and like I'm going crazy. So you just keep going down the length here. And I use the clear foot so that I can make sure that my needles are actually falling where they should, that I'm staying in a straight line with the edge. And when you're making a quilt with all straight lines like this, it's extremely important because you don't want a line that's like thick on one end and thin on the other. What that causes is your quilt to be off this way. Like when you go to match the front to the back, it's going to be stretched wide on one end and thin on the other, and then it doesn't lay flat, and that's not good. Even for a lap quilt, you just don't want to do that. I cannot wait to see how creative you all can be if you decide to make your own, because you happen to know somebody that would really benefit from it. Do it. You won't hurt my feelings. You will not hurt my feelings in the least. Okay. So what I do, since you see I have these long tails left on this, that'll be for the next one. I can actually use those as one of the dark strips on a different one that has dark bead and light. Same thing. I'm going to recap here in just a second. So this is going to be the pieces for the cross. Dark, light, dark. Okay. Then I'm going to need a blue square, a light blue, to put into this, incorporate into it. So I have to look through my stash and see if I have one. Now the thing is, if I don't, a solid will do. It doesn't have to be blue, it just will be more consistent with the pattern. I could do a green one for the center if I wish. But when you do your 3-strip piece, again, you always want to make sure that it's nice and crisp looking. You press it. I do a double press. I press the back and I press the front. That way, when I go to stitch the quilting portion of it with the batting between the layers, it will be a nice ditch to stitch in. I had heard that expression before I actually got into quilting, and I thought, I don't know what that means. What's that mean? I had to look it up. I really did. Because I was always a clothing person or home decor. I made, I sewed clothes. I sewed curtains. I sewed pillows and that sort of thing. And I'm still waiting on comments from y'all that tell me what it is that you are interested in, what you want to do. I can't wait to have the first few people that say, hey, you know what? I participated in your blessing contest in December. I didn't win a sewing machine. She said, but, that's such a great idea. Putting so much positive love and energy out there. What can I do? I said, you can pray. Yeah, you don't have to send me anything. I'd love it if you do. You know, a finished square, so that it's less that has to be assembled on this end, right? Now, if someone wants to make their own and they don't have the money or for to get their own material, I can send them a photo of the assortment that I have available. They can pick what they like. I will send them all the material they need except for the thread and the sewing machine. Cutting things, you got to have those. I will send that to you so that you can make your own, even if it's just you making one block. I'll send it to you and I'll send you a postage paid envelope to send it back, unless you're going to keep it in order to, make your own for someone that you want to give it to. It's great when you give it to someone that you know, but it's so cool to give it to someone you don't know because they look so surprised when you hand them this gift and it's made with love and care and it's so beautiful because you designed it with your color scheme, not mine. Um, and This just feels so good to do something so dang simple, super simple. Making a little lap quilt that might be 25 inches by 40 inches. So I'm thinking laps. Yeah, it's about right. It might be 36 by something. If I could get them to turn out 36 by 36, that would probably be ideal. But it's not rectangular, then it doesn't really work well in a lap. A square. It could. So this is going to be the cross portion. And I'm actually going to lay out at least this portion of what the cross would be on here. Because as you see, I need a square. I could actually, this blue, the dark blue here, is glittering. It's silver glitter. It's so pretty. I make this really stand out. But the cross, you need 5. 5 dark, light, dark. Only 5. That makes your cross up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these as far as that goes. Since this is already the 6.5 inches, I'm just cutting them 6.5 inches by, what is this? 6.5 by 6.5. And I'm going to do it this way and just see what happens when I go to finish it. As far as a finished size, that might give you guys a better idea of exactly how it comes out if you want to make a whole one yourself with the 3 motifs, the 3 crosses. In case you aren't aware, there are God numbers and there are angel numbers, and 3 is a God number. And when I realized this takes 30 blocks, I thought, okay, one of them is a solid square. The others are all 3 stripes. And again, there's the 3s, right? Could have been 4 stripes when I got the idea, but this design popped in my head years ago. I made a whole one. And there's a big one too. See, this isn't exactly perfect because my blade shifted. That's okay. I only need 5 of these out of this strip. There's 2. And it's okay if the edge is kind of a little raggedy because I'm going to put that in the seam anyway, right? And I try to put this, actually I should use a wider mat than what I've got, but I don't have the wider one that I normally would have. Oh yeah, I'm going to do it this way. This will solve all my problems right there. Just like that. I just turn it the other way so that I can cut 6. Same thing. And that's because this thing underneath is smaller. See, it helps to have extra ones of these things laying around. And the other one I have is like this. I have several sizes of these self-healing mats. And this one, excuse me, those is itching. This one's really good. This one's like 13, 15 inches wide. So that way I don't have to worry about cutting my ironing board cover that I made the ironing board cover, by the way. It's not hard. Just kind of trace around it. So we're going to go like this. Line my little arrows up because I want to cut out 5 of these for the cross portion. I'm going to use this other cut. It's crazy right hand. It's right-handed. It doesn't. See, I have to do it this way or it won't cut. So when you find a good rotary cutter and it works for you, stick with it. This one just, the blade on this is really sharp. I don't even know what brand this is, but I accidentally cut myself with it because I didn't know it was a right-handed cutter only. So for us lefties, we just got to be attentive to some things. Now I could, put it in here like a, that's funny, what did I do? Oh, I know, can you use, that's the thing with some of these. They like to do their own thing. But I went to cut with it, and this plastic portion is thicker on one side, and it just would not touch the material. It was not. Let's see, today, I must have done something good. I don't know. Now it's working. I'm not doing it right-handed. I don't know. I think it's because you guys are watching. You kind of got a good luck charm, right? And even though I only need 5, I'm going to go down the whole length of this. Because, like I said, I may need this color combination and something else. And if nothing else, it makes a great scrap kind of quilt with all kinds of different, 3-stripe squares. So nothing goes to waste. not a thing. I don't know why my nose is generally so bad. Try all these threads. So that one kind of shifted on me. So that's one that I'm going to have to even up, which means I will need to cut a little bit off the either end. And because I'm using my ironing board instead of a flat table, it wants to bow in, which makes it uneven also. But I am doing my very best to not have to do that. Yeah, come on. Okay, let them go down. Eventually, see the little seam in there with that extra double stitching is really doing its job. It's doing exactly what it should, keeping the integrity of those seams. I can't talk right now. Oh, it could be because I've been up so long. Let's see. And I'm just going to take 5. This makes a lot. Look at this. I'm going to get, what, 9 out of this? I think. Something like that. That's excellent because it's like just one shy of another cross. I love when things come. Oh, look at that first cut. Figure. So you cut out, my suggestion for if you're doing a whole one yourself, and even if you don't keep it and you want to send it in to be personalized and sent to someone, is to whatever material you're getting to make your color combinations, do all your combinations, your 3 combinations at one time. Do your 5 for the cross in the center, the dark, light, dark. Do all of those. If you get a half a yard of 3 different kinds of fabric, make your 2.5-inch strips on all of them. And then if you do need to get more, it won't be such a bad thing. Now this left me with a piece at the bottom. And this is what I was saying about wasting nothing. And the dark, light, dark. And then I have the 2 dark strips. They were longer than the light one. So I still have these. These can still be used. These are not going to go to waste. If you don't have bins for your strips and things like that, you can use Ziploc bags. I used to do a gallon Ziploc bag and a permanent marker right on the outside. 2.5-inch by 2.5-inch strips. If you have a specific design they were a certain length, you can put the length on there too. These, it doesn't matter what the length is. For this project, just cut a 2.5-inch wide strip. You can send them in, keep them, measure them out as you do your own. So what I had left at the end was this little piece right here. And that can be used for lots of things. I also have a container that says odd sizes. Well, it'll actually say rectangles, or it'll say squares, or it'll say triangles. Haven't done circles, because circles are or more of an applique thing instead of a put it together kind of thing. So on this, I think this will show up pretty well for you. Is how many did I get out of it? 22 plus a 44-inch long thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8, 6-inch, 6.5 by 6.5. Well, it's not 6.5. These are not 6.5. No, they're not. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 6 inches. So I could have cut these 6 by 6. I did 6.5 by 6. Oh, it's not a boo-boo. It's okay. That way on the top, I'll just take the extra ½ inch off. Or just make the seams on these an extra. But I'm ironing out all that specifics because I only made this like a really big one before. This is downscaled. So the design is this. Okay. So I have 3 here. What I do with this one, I just cut. And that is dark, medium, light. I don't have a dark, medium, light, so I'm going to use this one. Now, the great thing about me making this dark, light, dark, a totally different dark fabric is this is really going to pop. This is really going to stand out. It doesn't matter what I do around it. Whereas when I'm sticking to the same 3, or the same darks, the same mediums, the same light color ones, it matters. So if you want to do it where it really pops and stands out, but you're still within your same color scheme, do it this way. Your dark blue can be really dark blue, and then just kind of like the dark blue here is kind of the medium. But for argument's sake, I always start these out. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 squares. You start out with the cross first. You do the vertical part, and then you do the horizontal. The horizontal is only 1 square, 2 squares, and then the center. So it's, there's that 3 again. I knew it. So I'm going to see in my squares, which I have a solid blue. I know I have purple in here. I should have blue, but if I don't, okay. Now another version of this you can do. I'm going to use the light blue roses because that way I can do the embroidery on it with a dark, rich blue like the outside. Okay, so imagine this that has this, but I'm actually going to get a piece of the blue and put it in there because it's too much of a contrast for me. I mean, I could put silver there and it would be fine, but not this time. Well, we're going to pretend. See if I can find a piece here. I'm trying to do this so fast. I'm so sorry. Pink, pink, pink. I didn't have St. Patrick's Day. I think what I will do is take one of these guys. Actually, where's the one that's left? Oh, there it is. The piece was left at the end. Now, this is doable also. It doesn't take away from it either. Believe it or not, I'm going to cut this tail off from this, which is the medium light dark. I had to think what I had in my hand there for a minute. And I want to finish cutting what's left on here so I can show you that portion of it. Silly goose. Yeah. Just like this. Right there. Line up your edges really well. Make sure your arrows are straight. This one doesn't want to be straight when they kind of shift it looks like. Okay. That's why the die cut machine, the Quilt is so wonderful. I could take this and fold this into squares. Actually, I'm going to do that on the next installment. I'll show you how that is for those of you that have thought about the Quilt and you really want to make a difference in a big way and be able to have all the tools you need. Get yourself the Quilt, the beginner set, is perfect. I think it's under $200, and you get 2 die cuts. You get the small, they call it the Go Cube thing, for putting the die cuts in there, and I can't remember which ones actually come with it, but you can always, look through all the multitude of die cuts they have and find the ones for the patterns that you're going to use on a regular basis. Me, I know I'm going to do strips a lot. I know I'm probably going to do sailboats. It's my grandson's grandfather was in the Navy, and I did start a quilt the old-fashioned way, but it needs to be made larger because it was really small. It's kind of like crib size. And they're not little boys anymore. They're 15 and 12. And it's the last one here. I just want to show you how to position it. This piece was a little shorter, which means the last piece I have on here is more rectangular than square, but it's not going to waste. It will get used, I promise. Now, what I'm going to do with that piece I just cut off. Oops, you come back here. You need to go with your brothers over there. Okay, and you too. Okay, yeah, there it is. So we're going to finagle a square. How about that? What do you think? Think we should just finagle a square? Oh, that works perfect. That's 5 inches. So I'm going to take these two that are 2.5 and 2.5. I'm going to make a square out of it real quick. And I'll tell you why this is not a bad thing. Instead of having a solid square, you will have a line through the center of the centerpiece square that goes in the middle of the cross. And if you're embroidering either by hand or by sewing machine or embroidery machine, then now you have a line to line up your letters nice and even and straight. There's no boo-boos. There are no boo-boos in this quilt. I'm almost finished with my little 2-inch here. Okay, that's done. This is like this. Press it out. Press that. Now, for this one, I'm going to open the seam up and press it. Hey, we're just doing the...
a combination of, my fares tonight with promotions of 10.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I earned $299.
That's wild. That's excellent. That's by helping other people. That's wonderful.
3:57. I got my 60th customer.
Lord is in control, ain't he?
Yes, he sure is. He sure is.
He is faithful and good.
150 simoleons. I mean, $450.
Wow, that's wonderful. Hey, retirement's been good to you, hon. Now this square is almost exactly 4 inches. It's actually 5 inches by 4 inches, give or take. So I'm going to even it up. So
why is this box of the screen sitting here?
Because I didn't get it to the I didn't get it to the garage yet, hon. It's not him. I'm the one that left it there. And they digress. Hey, he's been out driving all day, and that's how he has to. We do what we have to do to survive in this world. And when you retire, you do some things. He's extra tired, so I do apologize. Sorry for the photobomb. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 by 4. So let's do 4 by 4. Just so that it's an even square. And that's going to be like, let's see. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 inch in.
Chew your food, please.
we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Right about there. There we go. I want you to see how the cross is put together. Okay. So really, I would have done 4.5 by 4.5. But for tutorial sake, we're not doing that way. Oh, there's lots of leftovers we have to go through. So this is the 4x4 square. There's a straight line through the middle of it. So if you're going to embroider it either by hand or by embroidery machine, you can line it up so that your lettering stays nice and straight. And it doesn't deter from it because you're going to quilt it anyway, right? Okay. So it's no boo-boos involved. For this design, we have oh, sorry. Okay. I will have a copy of this where it's kind of laid out for you. So the top is how many squares? We have 1. That's the top. There's 1. Now, this would be bigger, but it's not right now. That, and then you have the square, and then 1, 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then the square in the center. So it's going to look kind of like this, but like I said, this square would be bigger in the center. And it's not, because this is the way I did it. And to put this together, you would take, and of course when you do the crossbars, you do with the blue like this. So it's going to actually go like this. And I think, now, when I did the first one, I'm going to bring this closer so you can see, because this is pretty darn important. And then we will continue later on. Okay. You have 1 or dark, light, dark, square, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark. And the reason why you do the cross first when you're constructing this is because you do not want the same colors butted up against each other. That's why there are 29 other squares and 1 solid square. You will get, if you want this pattern, the specific pattern, comment for me and just say, hey, I want the pattern. You don't have to tell me if you're going to make one or not, but if you want the pattern, I'll give it to you. And maybe you'll feel kind of led to participate in some way, shape, or form. If you have scraps of fabric and you don't know what to do with them, odd colors, weird colors, whatever, and you just want to get rid of them, ship them on out. I'll take them. Because there's other little blessing projects coming up too. Just not this one. I got more up here. And it's so much fun. But this was the one I thought that was appropriate for after Christmas. You know, it's a new year. And we need to refocus and help some people just really start to be remembered. This is Crafty Sue. And in my book, no senior is going to be forgotten. Help me keep them right here and right here, fresh and ready. And be passionate about this. If it's just praying, just pray. We'll feel them. They're going to feel your prayers too. If you want to make 1 block with just 3 strips, make 1 block. I'll tell you how to get it here. If you want to make a whole one, a whole motif, and remember 3 of these makes 1 lap quilt, make 1. Comment, subscribe, keep the love going. This is what this is all about. This is why I do what I do. I do this because I love everyone and I'm trying to teach. Those are my 2 favorite things, by the way. People teaching, loving, fabric, sewing. My joy is bringing joy. And I want to share that with you. And I want to show you how to do it where it feels really, really good, by the way. And it's a passion. I had this passion forever. It's taken me 20 years for me to get to this point in my life where God said, now. He went, so now it's time. You got the stuff. Keep going. And you tell everybody. So I'm telling everybody, let's all get involved. Let's all throw the love out there. Get rid of all this hate, all this animosity, all this stupid stuff that's going on. One way to do it, give a gift. And like I said, I got plenty of fabric. If you don't have any, I'll send it to you. If you want to make one and you need fabric to make one, you need the instruction on it, I will send it to you. And I will send you the envelope or box or whatever that's needed to mail it back unless you want to send it to someone else. Get a group in your own neighborhood doing it. Get a bunch of you guys doing it. Get some young teenagers involved.
Why would I give you that much?
So let's find our joy and find our passion, and let's keep on sewing, and let's not let any senior be forgotten.